This is revenue marketing raw. No fluff, no vendor pitches. Just the truth your CMO won't say out loud. Featuring Jeff Pedowitz and Dr. Debbie Qaqish. Let's go!
That's right. All right, it's baseball season.
Yeah, baby, I am ready to go. Go Braves.
Go Braves. Well, I'm a Yankees fan, but, it's all right. It's a long season. Who knows?
It's a long season. That's exactly right. And women's basketball is starting as well. I'm very excited about that. I've become a big WNBA fan.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark. Angel Reese.
Yep.
So, yeah, there's some good ones. So what are we going to talk about this week, Deb? Besides, we can talk about the WNBA.
We could. Probably not very well. Jeff, I want to talk about, I want to bring together some not finer points, some key points about changes that AI is bringing into the marketing organization. You and I both follow Scott Brinker. We're a huge fan of his work. And in following Scott, we have noticed that he has a set of hypotheses or observations about the market and AI. So why don't we just talk about some of those to try to give our listening audience a tight set of big changes that is being forced through or by AI?
Yeah, I think, we're in alignment with Scott on a lot of things. I think, first of all, he's been talking about what we've been talking about the last month, which is the org itself is changing. He might have been using slightly different words, but I think the overall arc is the same, that teams are set up to execute. They're not set up to orchestrate.
That's exactly right.
That is a fundamental disconnect.
Right.
If you're any kind of manager or marketing leader, you grew up in schools of management, you read all these different books about how to lead and how to manage and how to motivate. But many of these schools of management were built around an execution outcome. Even the concept of the OKR, right? The KPI. So how do we execute? So if AI now is doing the execution, what do you need your team to do? You need your team to orchestrate, to strategize, to apply judgment.
One of the comments that Scott made was that marketing is becoming a systems design discipline. And yes. I totally agree with that. And we'll go into some of the other points that support that. And orchestration of how these changes are being done, thinking about AI almost as a control tower. That's just a very different way. If you think about marketers, they come into work every day, it's execution, execution, execution. And now leaders are really responsible for being architects of change, redesigning how marketing happens. So that's a huge shift.
Which is really fundamentally, if you came up through, let's say, marketing ops, you came over from sales, you probably have a little bit more of a process workflow orientation to your thinking. But if you came up through creative or brand, it's not that those elements don't have processes too, but you're coming at it from a very different kind of worldview. So this change is going to be even more profound, I guess, just in terms of how it's going to impact.
No, I totally agree. And again, we've had several episodes where we have talked about the work of marketing is just fundamentally changing. And again, if you don't walk away from anything that we talk about AI, you want to think about this phrase: the execution layer is gone. Now what? That is the thing you need to walk away with.
What's the new way of being? And so I think, so that's definitely one. And it's a more pronounced challenge, right? Because you have education, which is perpetually on any academic behind.
So far behind.
Mm-hmm. So the executive MBA, right, the masters, the business school, they're not going to teach marketers how to lead and how to manage in this brave new world. So where is the training going to come from? I think too much of the training so far has been on the the tech, how to use the tools, how to read prompts,
because people are thinking about AI as another piece of technology where in fact it's a total professional game changer.
Completely, so it's more, and well, of course, yes, obviously you need to develop the competencies to be able to use the tools, sure, but that only covers really 10% of it.
That's right.
Because it's the other 90% completely changing how you think in an agile, shifting environment and maintaining critical thinking skills, and we're seeing it even ourselves, like it's how quickly some of even the smartest and best people can lose their judgment because they're putting too much trust in the output that AI is generating. And you're like, okay, did you read it? Did you look at it?
You know what, Jeff? I have a great example for you. So Jeff's daughter just graduated from medical school, and she is going in to be an ER doctor, right? Wait.
Hang on, got to get the plug in here.
Yay! She got the cup. Got the cup.
To you.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic. But if you think about the training for a doctor going into ER, it is not the same kind of training for a doctor going into general practice, because the ER doctor has to work under intense pressure, constant change. Whereas the general practitioner, you come to the office, you've got, whatever. Right? I'm just saying that we train these individuals different based on the environment that they work in, and the environment that AI is creating is constant change, constant ambiguity, and totally blowing up existing models of operation.
Not to mention, even before AI, it's not like companies spent a lot of money on training, Deb. And
marketing's the worst.
Yeah, maybe $500, $1,000 per head per year.
Maybe
that's not going to get you very far, or that you get to go to one or two conferences. So this is a huge problem. We've talked about it too on how it's impacting kids coming out of college. Because if the execution layer, especially, is the entry level jobs, and now AI is doing the entry level jobs, then how do you actually get the training and the skill set to the kids that are graduating and get them to jump that chasm so they can kind of hit the ground running? It's a significant challenge. But this is just one area when Scott talks about systemized marketing. He's also talking about the tech and how quickly that's changing. There was, and there's an assumption that AI is going to make things easier.
No, messier, so much messier. And not only because it's not just another piece of technology, but because what you call a stack, those days are gone. There's no such, the stack thing is just going away. You're going to have
it's like a spaghetti,
Yeah, you're going to have an infrastructure with data layers. Then everything's going to be run by AI on top of that. That is really all that
you need orchestration for. Yeah. So this whole traditional, it's not that we won't be using software, but the business model of SaaS, of subscription, is getting blown up. Interestingly enough, we're moving back to a consumption-based model, which is where SaaS started before it got into a predictable subscription model. Outcome-based orientation, value-based thing. Revenue sharing, cost sharing. There's going to be different new pricing models that are coming out of this too. And the reason why technology more, because AI connects to anything and everything.
Yeah.
So instead of just buying a traditional license, you now have zigzags.
That's right. A question for you. When you think about who is doing the most work in AI, which function in an organization is doing the most work in AI, do you think it's the marketing department?
Well, I think from a perspective of maybe LLM usage and creativity, yes. I'd say though, from a development and workflow, no. I think it's more IT and product that is probably pushing the pace there.
We need to take a look into that. I have found that a lot of product organizations are still kind of like a little hands off still when it comes to AI. But we need to go ask some of our clients about that. That would be a great question.
Product, of course, being a broad Deb. I mean, that's a lot of different industries, but I mean, certainly if you're in any type of software, no question, like there's an arms race underway, not just in the CRM and marketing, but every type of software. There's a lot of investment that's going into AI.
Right.
So that's one. But look, we're seeing, and then, you have the parts of AI that have been around for a while that just don't get as romanticized. Risk, insurance, financial services have had AI predictive models for years.
Not like this, though. Not like this. Not like what we have today.
Well, yes and no. I mean, again,
maybe the idea of it, but at an execution level, yeah.
The front-facing part, right? I mean, the LLMs are making AI be more accessible for much more users, but large language models is only one part of AI. There's deep learning, machine learning, there's quantum, there's a number of other aspects about this that for the casual user, that's all over Claude skills and ChatGPT. They're not touching that stuff, but I don't know if we want to call it institutional or infrastructure AI. It's very powerful. It's been there. It's just been now the level of creativity, the pace of change and innovation is now accelerating because
and the power
of it. And then of course it's Moore's law times 10, which is, I was just talking about, like, I've been pushing it so hard. Like my laptop literally is like heating up all the time now.
I know.
I'm seriously thinking about getting a desktop because the jobs that I'm running are just, and then, it's hogging up my machine. Yeah. And so this is happening on a mass scale. And then, so I went to go order. I'm like, okay, let me go get like a Mac desktop. It's a 3-month delay. Because because all the corporations are buying up all the chips. Yeah. Because everyone's trying to hoard. Because everyone's investing in AI, so it's having supply chain disruption.
That's true. That's true. I knew there were some. I didn't realize it was at our level. So let's just kind of keep talking about these big shifts from AI. We talked about how AI is not making the stack easier. It's making it messier. The idea of the stack is going away. We're going to be talking about infrastructure and data layers.
No more Stacky Awards? We're not going to do that anymore?
It's going to be some other kind of award. It's probably going to be the AI award.
The AI Spaghetti Award, yeah.
Or the Spaghetti Award. But the other thing that we have talked about many times, and Scott also talked about, is that the bottleneck isn't the tech, it isn't the AI, it's organizational readiness. And we have talked about that many times. It's really people, process, and leadership. And honey, I'm going to lean very heavy into the leadership for this. Because if you are not a change agent, you don't need to be a leader in this day, not with AI.
No, and the gap's growing wider by the day. I mean, look, even on something that's AI related, we're not even asking our clients to do something with AI specifically, but we are asking them to approve AI-friendly pages and content. But they're still treating it like their process, like it's a typical web page or an ebook or a white paper. They're taking 2 weeks, a month to approve a page, right? And we're like, no, like we got, this is an arms race. Like, you got to get these pages up so that you can start getting found by the AI. So I think there's just these traditional mindset ways of working.
Very much so.
Translated yet. And even though you ask them, we're experimenting with AI, we have Claude and we have ChatGPT, but then when you look at how they still work and how they make decisions, that has not changed tonight.
That has not changed. They are using it like a piece of technology to help them operate the way they're operating right now, with the idea of, can we save money? Can we do something faster? And hopefully do something a little bit better. Which is a great way to begin.
Yes, it's a better way to not do it, because there's about 25% of people out there that are like, no, I'm not going to do it. And I don't know about you, but I'm starting to get blasted on social media by all these AI haters, like, hey, AI is the devil, F you,
I know.
probably not even fake. You're real. You're probably fake. I'm like, okay, whatever, dude. I'm like,
I know. It's ridiculous. I gave somebody hell the other day for, he made the comment that I'm not going to touch ChatGPT. And I said, well, you're just ignorant ass then, aren't you? Because it is here. It's not going away. It can make your life so much easier. Use it, right?
Yeah, so
Use it.
Fine. You want to be right and broke and not have any future? I'm like, whatever. Like, okay, it's like how much vanity.
It just tells you how resistant people are to change. And we've talked many times about how inelastic organizations are, how slow to change they are. There has to be some kind of blow up the world event for an organization to make the massive changes that AI will bring about.
What was that book in the 90s, Deb? Was about IBM? What was that? How do you make an elephant dance? I think.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
But I mean,
but it's like that.
Companies are still elephants, and it's just amazing to see how hard it is to drive that change. And we're seeing the gap get wider all the time. I mean, and whether you go to the Adobe conference, the Salesforce conference, the HubSpot conference, of course the vendors, they're out there, they're pushing great features and capabilities as they should, but then not just the customers, the partners are just getting like starry-eyed and like absent because they're like, oh my God, like I don't even, like, where do you even start? There's so much capability and it's moving so fast. There's not even enough time to absorb and figure out how you're going to apply it, and it's already changing again, and so it's a real issue. Switching gears, though, Scott also talked about build versus buy and that debate going away, which I think is interesting. So really in concept, you don't have to buy anything ever again.
Well, right? You have to buy something unless you build it yourself with AI, right? Is that your point?
Yeah, or you rent it, or you're getting access to the capabilities, right, but you're not setting up the traditional stack, right? Oh, I need my Salesforce widget, my Oracle widget, my whatever. You could just say, well, I want to do X, Y, and Z. And then AI goes and figures it out and brings you back those capabilities. And then that's what you do.
That's true. That is absolutely true. And again, it gets back to the days of the tech stack is going away, because anybody could build apps, anybody can use agents, anybody can build workflows these days. Even I can do that, which is saying a lot, right? And so you don't need those big pieces of technology. So thinking, software is gone, right? It's
the concept of how we think about software is gone. The business model of software is gone, right, not software itself.
Exactly.
But I'll tell you one thing. And I guarantee this prediction. You know how everyone's been cutting money on tech over the last couple of years because they were spending too much. My prediction is within 2 years, companies will be spending more on tech than they ever did, particularly on AI token usage.
Yeah.
Because even we as a company, for the first time last month, we crossed $10,000 in added usage. Mm-hmm. And we have no signs of slowing down yet because the productivity lift we got, like we're seeing like a 10x lift. So we're like, keep going. But I do think at some point, I'm not sure what that point is, there's got to be a law of diminishing returns where, the cost of investing in the usage of AI outstrips the company's ability to generate not just cost savings, but revenue growth.
Well, right? I think the most underexplored area with AI is probably revenue growth, which is what we have talked about, especially for marketing organizations who are using AI because they are using it to cut costs and to do things faster versus finding exciting new ways to drive revenue. But one of the other things that Scott also has talked about, and we have talked about as well, is buyer side AI is going to be a huge disruption. A little bit of that is what we're talking about when people now use ChatGPT for search, right? Yeah. That's just the beginning of it.
Well, we're already seeing a little bit of it because you can, and it's, the lines are getting blurred, but you can tell when a company used AI to write the RFP, just the way that it's, let's say, framed. So they're already getting smarter and building tools to evaluate vendors. That was just step one. But yeah, I think the leading companies now are putting in their own systems, just like they have AI taking over human applicant tracking and HR and screening resumes. You can do the same thing with screening potential vendors or buyers. So now it's doing all the evaluation criteria. It's doing all the risk analysis. It's doing the research. It's doing the background checking. It's doing the financial modeling, and it's coming back to the organization with a recommendation. And that saves companies a tremendous amount of time. And so, then
what about at an individual level, Jeff? What about, all the marketing that comes to us as individuals? How would that marketing change so that I could set something up and now you're not interacting with Debbie Qaqish, you're interacting with my agent?
Same. And that's happening today too. You can use Claude Cowork, and you can set up these agents. Okay. Every time Debbie writes me, put it in the follow-up later pile.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Right?
Yeah.
But yes, you can do these things now, and then you're creating your own virtual assistants at scale. So you have an army of admins helping you. Okay, what are my top priorities for the day? Help me prepare for the week. What do I need to do research on? What meetings do I have coming up? So yes, that's all happening now, Deb. So I think when you send out an email, whether you wrote it yourself or you use ChatGPT or Claude to help you write it, and then you send it out, there could be a likelihood where the person on the other end is responding with their AI to your AI.
Exactly. It's so AI to AI. You're exactly right.
Go back and forth, back and forth.
You're exactly right. So let's finish up with this thought. It is so hard for people to understand change. We need to create a metaphor that helps them understand what this change would look like. For example, do you remember a time when you thought this, and then you got experience in this thing, and now you have a completely different understanding and concept of it? For example, when we talk to CMOs who may have a revenue number, but never actually had a revenue team, and then you can come back and talk to them later when they've had a revenue team, whether it's inside sales or a territory, and they're like, oh yeah, completely different way that I'm approaching marketing now. We need a metaphor to help people understand.
It is actually, in all this, it is the marketing and the message, right? Because when you find the right message, it gets through. So an example I constantly think about is, so you and I were children of the 60s and 70s, and we grew up without seatbelts in the back seat, and we'd fly all over the place, right? And, when you started having kids, like for years, they ran all these campaigns trying to get, parents to get their kids to wear seatbelts in the back, and nobody would do it, whatever. And then they finally did some commercial at the end of the 80s, early 90s.
I remember when they first made seatbelts, you had to put them on. I'm like, I'm not putting on a seatbelt.
Right? Yeah, I'm not putting on a seatbelt. And even today, of course, even on a school bus, they still don't make you wear seatbelts, but that's a whole other story. But there was some commercial that came out at the end of the 80s that basically saw a kid go through the windshield, and it was such a visceral thing because every parent, of course, would go through hell on earth to protect their child. They're like, oh, I don't want that to happen to my kid. And it was like overnight. So after 20 or 30 years of people arguing against logical and emotional arguments about seatbelts, that made a connection point. So I don't know if we have to get that literal here, but to your point about the metaphor or message, it has to be the right chord so that it shouldn't need a lot of explaining. When it's the right message, people are like, I get it. Okay, I'm just gonna do it.
No, I don't think people are getting it though. I think that especially in corporate America, things are so tight. Those ruts for the way they think are deep. And I think that let's just be thinking about some metaphors and
you're right.
And
they're not getting it. And maybe we do have to throw them through the fucking windshield,
Yeah. we may have to. Well, anyway. Yes. I mean, those are just some key big changes for you to think about as you consider AI, as you take a look at your strategies. It's not just about saving money. We're talking about a sea change in how marketing is run and what marketing will be capable of. So the more you can incorporate these new thoughts and these new ideas into what you do, the more you'll be ahead.
Amen. All right. Until next week.
All righty, guys. See you later. Bye.
Bye.